Alrighty then. Alrighty then. And alrighty then. Alrighty then. And there we go. There we go. Alright, I can't show the camera in right now. But it's okay. We'll be fine. If you want to message me, you can. Anybody who shows up. Let's see here. Oh my gosh, yes. That's so much better. That's so much better. So much better. I did a lot better on that one. Hopefully they don't throttle me. Let me go. Uno más. Uno más. Uno más. Uno más. Uno más. Uno más. All right. Since we're not going to be doing any camera stuff, I'm not going to be able to look at my reflection and see how I feel, and it's okay. It's fine. I'm perfectly okay with it, and it's all right though. It's all right. We're gonna take it in stride. Stride. That's right. That's right. That's right. But all gum isn't the same. La la la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La la la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Yeah, I do smoke cigarettes, so it's not. It's like I shouldn't like smoke cigarettes on the live stream. So I'm just gonna do that right now because it's okay for me, but yeah, not other people. So should probably slow down, you know. So eventually I will. Oh. I'm gonna get my ashtray off of my sleeping quarters. That's not cool. Nobody likes that. No, I've been stealing money the whole time. Yep. That's why my mom doesn't care. It was gonna be a surprise, and it was gonna be your vacation money. But now it can be something else. Probably. Alright, so I'm freaking back. I'm freaking tight. And we're gonna put this freaking thing on the thing. Alright, so my PlayStation is fucked up now. Gonna have to get the dust out. I was playing with dust in my PlayStation. People are trying to lick my PlayStation. If they got dust in their stomachs, it's completely their fault. They shouldn't have been trying to. Dang it. He got me. You know what I like about cheaters, though? Is they don't know how I cheated. I mean, they could try to figure it out, but I mean, eventually it always comes back. You know? What goes around comes around, you know? That sort of thing. I mean, over the centuries, people have planned their revenge out, and some have actually gotten away with it. Like, slowly but surely, they planned out their revenge, and they really did. Like, they really did do some stupid things. They acted. They had fun. And then they acted like they got the short hand of the stick. They got, oh, I got dealt a bad hand of cards, guys. That's the reason why I think that they leave stuff out in most history books, is because if they actually left everything in, then they'd be like, oh my god, what is the reason why this is the way it is, you know, right? This whole video game, I should get back on subject, but that's kind of the way it is, actually, because back in the day, there were games that people used to play in America, Americans, basically, who were terrible people, would go around and they would cheat at a bunch of different card games. But also with everyone else, you know, everyone else would cheat. They'd cheat at a bunch of different card games. They'd win plenty of cash and prizes, and then they'd go and say like, oh, I don't need it, man. I don't need it at all, man. I don't need these spices or anything like that for my house. I don't need anything, man. I just need this money. And they would basically embarrass themselves in front of a bunch of different people, and then when they would embarrass themselves, they would be like, well, we already got the spices because, I mean, that thing, you know, Joe's around. No, not for long. I will be going to eventually another place, because this place doesn't have much for me. Mostly in the sense that I want to invest in its ground. I want to find different treasures that people are covering up. You know, kind of stuff like that. So that's kind of the whole thing and the whole deal that I'm like in right now. Like, cause I mean, that's kind of like the whole reason why I'm like here, because there's some sort of weapons and different things like that people can put in museums, and they're basically being covered up by different people who are tribesmen and different people who are different things, and they have to be paid. So, I mean, that's good. It's awesome, but I mean, I'm not like I don't have to be here in New Orleans, you know, where I am, but it's always good to see exactly how many people step up and take responsibility for all the things that went wrong most of the time, and also all the things that went right as well. So I mean, and most of the time that's still damning, but I know that people seem to think that I'm like that I'm like unattuned to the things that go around the city and stuff like that, and I don't know the reason why everyone kills each other. It's because there's money to be paid out, and eventually they're going to realize that in order for that money to be paid out, they had to have their entire tribe. If they have their entire tribe, then they get paid out fully. If they don't have their entire tribe, then they don't get paid out fully. So there's that. There we go. That's a better one. That's awesome. Alright. That's a good close range. There we go. Alright. But most of the time, I think if people realize that they're, that most tribesmen, they basically kind of preserve each other's history and stuff like that. And that's a kind of sometimes a lot worth a lot more than just than just anything, you know, than just anything that could go wrong or anything like that. So most of the time, what I believe that is a real reality is, as law changes, people tend to change with the times. I noticed that a lot of times when laws would change, people would say that they did things and they would admit to it, and then those people would still brandish their knives and say, "Have a nice day, sir." But most of the time, I think that that kind of stuff is weak. You know, it's kind of weak to say that, because most of the time, those people who are blaming that one person for doing all of those things are actually the people who did those things too, and then understood that it helped them, but then it won't help anyone else. Like, I mean, seriously, like it won't help anyone else. It can't. Those kinds of things can't help people who are like disabled and want to play a video game but don't have the proper things. But I mean, don't make them overpowered, obviously. But I mean, just even the playing field, basically, you know. I think a lot of times people suggest and think that I'm actually like it's just because I'm disabled or schizoaffective that my brain doesn't work right, or that my brain doesn't work like theirs or something. I still have synapses that start and stop, you know, that fire or whatever you want to call it or something like that. I mean, of course that overheats you, but it doesn't really do anything to me that much. So most of the time I think that the more I look at a situation, the more I see that situation is basically fixable. Got him. All right. Most of the time, though, people don't want to fix things, and it's that kind of gets in the way of everything else, and people think that there's some sort of like, oh, it's some sort of cognitive dissonance that's happening. There's a disturbance in the force, and all that different shit. It's like basically that's old people's reason for saying they don't feel like fucking doing it. That's why the country kitchen opens at 6 a.m. so they can eat before everyone else, because everyone else has a leg up on them, or that's what they believe. So, you know. Most of the time, I know that things have already gone south whenever I'm actually there, whenever I'm actually around, and stuff like that. People are desperate. I can see that in the news. I can see that and understand that people are desperate for things. And I'm not saying that they don't deserve it. I'm not saying that people don't deserve anything, you know? I'm just saying that this could have been done a lot more simpler. This could have been done a lot simpler, and people always wanted to take credit. And it was like, you know what? Now you're basically broadcasting. Everyone is basically broadcasting that they all have money, and eventually people will steal it, or people will try to steal it, and then they'll get caught, or then they'll get rewarded for stealing, because sometimes people need to get stolen from, you know, because they have things that they shouldn't have, and then when they get stolen from, they don't realize that they're not good at a certain game, and they should have realized that before they started playing the game, and then realized that their friend was playing for them, and they were just like playing with the controller. I mean, see, it would have like been a lot better for me if I had a camera, but that's beside the point. That's not the actual point that I was actually trying to make. So the actual point that I'm actually trying to make is be nice to each other. Be nice, because you never know when that might end. You never know when then that might just stop, you know, because you never know. You never know when that ends, you know. You never know when people are just out of their minds and like seriously about to become something that would be the most terrible thing for a whole bunch of stuff. And like my dad basically I didn't see him when it was open casket, but I really did understand that my dad was unhealthy. He was completely unhealthy. He was always unhealthy, and always, he was just always eating something that was bad for him. Always. And it may seem like he was doing something that was bad for him, but he did a lot of things that were bad for him. He really did. He really did. He really did. He really would eat roadkill. Like my dad really would eat roadkill. Like my dad, yep. My dad really did eat roadkill. Like he survived. My dad survived. And that's what surviving means sometimes. But yeah, my dad really ate roadkill. Like, my dad really camped out in 4 years in a bunch of different places to stop wars, and he basically ate roadkill and endangered animals to survive. And it sucks. It really does. And then those endangered animals probably had some sort of rare disease. So, you know, it's pretty crazy. Sí, señorita, señor. What's going on?
Hey, at 6:30, can you help me put the lawnmower in the back of my mom's Jeep there?
Yeah, I got you.
Right, cool.
Alright, cool.
I'll come grab you.
Alright, cool. You're good, man. But that's what my dad did to survive. He didn't want to tell anyone because he didn't want to share it, and he didn't want to share it with anyone because he wouldn't have wished that on his worst enemy. And no one knew what it was. No one knew that he was slowly dying no matter what. And like, that was a lot of things that my dad basically couldn't share, because sometimes the meat would just it made stuff. Like, it made bad stuff. Like, it was bad. It was really bad. And that's that much my dad should have understood. He didn't realize that it was just the way it was, you know? It's just the way it was. Like, there was no telling whether or not something had a disease inside of it back in the day. Sometimes you just had to guess and then make your right decision, and whether that was a wrong decision or a right decision, it became right because the people afterwards would mutate to be able to like, and they would do everything that one person did. Like, there's a lot of things that America has that other people don't have, and it's in every way what training does to help people. Basically, running outside, playing, having fun, and doing a bunch of different stuff can help you do a lot of different things. And there are kids out there that are so emotionally inept sometimes that they don't even feel like playing because they think that it has something to do with some sort of bullshit. Like, they think it has something to do with the dude taking pictures of them when they're outside. And no, it has more to do with your family making memories about having fun and not caring about the situation, or not caring about a certain situation that you went through, or getting your mind off the situation and realizing that there are different things to feel happy about other than the process you went through to be able to go through a messed up situation. And my dad used to revel in it sometimes, and I think that's where he got his sense of humor from. And I know that he played games. He played different kind of games, though. He played games of chance. Like, in this game you can cheat. In this game you can do a bunch of different stuff. But in the games that my dad played, and if anyone cheated or ever got caught, people would get murdered. Like, that's basically my dad's game. And it's basically like Jumanji. Like, roll a different die and an earthquake happens. Roll another die and another thing happens. Like seriously fucked up shit. Like not an earthquake or a massacre happens. Basically playing with people's lives. And basically, not in all senses though. Most of the time I realized why my dad had to go, because he was either basically being like completely and utterly honest with me, or he was being completely and utterly dishonest with me. I mean, and those were the two things he was an honest man and also basically a cover-up. But that's neither besides me, and I don't really care to know what they covered up as far as everything goes. But most of the time, I think that if it was known, then there would be a lot more understanding between people. And the more I think about it, the more I look back and realize that my dad was a pretty badass dude. My dad was a pretty insane guy though, and he took a lot of risks that somehow paid off, and somehow made peace when there was war. And my grandfather worked in World War II and did almost that exact same thing, except without playing with people's lives. He just thought it was wrong. And I think that's where the disagreement between my mom and my dad came from. And that's probably the reason why they broke up. Because my dad still wanted to be that guy. He still wanted to be that guy and be those game pieces, basically, that he would play, and it's basically mind games, but it's basically mind games, and it's all just aches until the actual thing hits. And most of the time though, it's just somebody that is over, you know, somebody that's done for. And the more I think about it, the more I look into my mind's eye, and I see that that I'm more than just the person that I say I am, you know. And most of the time, I think that my dad didn't ever want me to fight. He wanted me to hide and run and be like everyone else. But the more times I try to say that to him that he's not right, probably the more times he tried to prove me wrong. I think that a lot of times though, there was more to just that situation than just met the eye, because my dad was in some ways trying to protect me from some very, very heavy hitters, and that mostly was the thing and the reason why people didn't understand that there was more than just a reason to hate or a reason to hurt. There was pretty much a reason to have wars, and my dad basically brought it down to just hate. And of course he could have gone way further than that, and that's what he didn't understand. And I guess I helped with that, because I kind of calmed him down, told him that there wasn't that many things that he should have been worried about. But there were a lot of things that I needed to do, I guess, in order to be able to inform him that I loved him, and I wanted him to understand that. More times than not, I realized that I was without a situation in my life, a situation that I needed in order to be able to become the person that I thought I wanted to be. And then my dad showed me the person that I actually wanted to be. And then he proceeded to take that all away, piece by piece. And then showed me a life that I wanted in the first place, and then decided to take that away as well. And even though my father kind of basically tortured me, as far as that goes, he tortured me pretty well. So I'll leave it up to anyone else to decide exactly what he wanted me to do with that sort of information, and that's kind of what he did. But I'll step back and I'll realign, and I'll come back a new person, and a person that is better for realizing the situation at hand, and also realizing that there are real people in my life that I enjoy being around. And the more I look back, the more I realize that the situations that made me who I am, or that made me react the way I did, weren't me. And they were my dad. And my dad was all about reaction timing, and my dad was always about self-defense and all those other different things. But he really didn't understand that the basic knowledge of self-defense is more than just suffices to be able to help yourself. But in order to realize that eventually you should understand that more often than not, people who do those things come up with excuses. People who understand those things come up with their own situational guilt in order to be able to stop people from thinking that they're who you say they are. You know, there's all that stuff that my dad thought about, and my dad did, to be able to make sure that he could say that he was a certain kind of person, and he didn't think that anyone would learn from that. And I told him that they would, but he never really believed me. And the more I saw him, the more I realized that he did believe me. He just didn't want to tell me that he did. The more that I realized what my dad had done, the more I started to love him, and the more I started to realize that he was not only playing around with people's lives, but he was basically playing around with people's bloodlines sometimes, and making people more understanding, I guess. Making people realize that there was more than just a situation to have that built that something, but there was a situation that could also break that completely down. And I'm talking about situations. And I'm talking about situations that people don't really understand. And these two guys are working together, and this is fucked up, but it's okay. The more I think about it, though, the more I realize that my dad really didn't know what he was doing most of the time. He didn't really exactly know what he was doing most of the time, but he didn't really understand that I Oh, nice, thank you. The more I realized that hells yeah, that's so tight. All right, so the more I look back and the more I realize certain things, the more I realize that my dad didn't know the situation. He didn't know what was going on. He didn't know the risks involved. He didn't know the people involved, and he really didn't understand the situation sometimes. So the more situation, the more information that I or my family gave was basically the thing that spelled that out for him. And the more I think about it, the more I realize that my dad and my grandfather were more kind of like what's the word? Intertwined than they would like to say. The more I think about it, the more I realize that people misunderstand people when they say don't go without a buddy. When someone goes off on their own and by themselves on a suicide mission, they usually shouldn't have that same person around them or another person around them at all. They should just go and do what they need to do and then come back, and no one should care. But more than often than not, I realized that that my dad came back from so many suicide missions that it was basically unbelievable, and unbelievable to understand that my dad got up so many goddamn times that it was like people just started believing in immortality again. And I think I have that, I guess, gift that my dad kind of had, but the more I think about it and the more I look back and do different things, the more people should understand that there isn't any such thing as immortality. There's not. Our universe is finite, takes away, and people should really understand that. And technically, it's just the winds and the waters and the earth itself kind of just moving along, and if you don't move along with it, then eventually people don't realize that you lose track of time, and time in some cases ceases to be, and in your case or in anyone else's case, you cease to exist. So, and in my case as well. So, but the more I look back at situations, the more I realize that people they lose themselves sometimes on purpose to try to keep up looks, I guess. But But I guess they don't realize that, I mean, Harry Potter was the best book that I ever saw. And, gotta love messing with people.
What's going on? Come on, you wanna help me?
Yeah. Everybody, I'll be right back. keep on trying. I'm back. And there is no camera. But there is a wonderful thing that I like to call wunderbar, 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 wunderbar stuff. Wunderbar. This cord overheated. I get away from the front. Yeah, that's what it's doing. It's overheating. That's why. I gotta go turn it in. All right. I say that a lot of people don't realize that their days are numbered, but as far as cheating goes on video games, all right. How is that a thing? How did he hip fire so fucking well, dude? That's such doucheness. Ah, whatever though. Doesn't even matter. Ah. Right as I'm playing them, they usually get kicked or banned off of a whole bunch of different servers that they're not really paying attention to right now because they're paying attention to me. I really wish they would understand that I know those dudes who actually make these video games. I mean, and also support them, you know. Those guys, that's always fun, you know. And then they're going to realize that their servers are shut down afterwards. And they can take that up with the ESRB and a bunch of different places in China that I know about and also am involved with. So, I mean, I wish they would understand that, but But I mean, I think that's the reason why they're only actually doing that, because I mean, only people with an actual real like processor that can like hold gigabytes and terabytes and like, so basically quantum computing. So they're using a quantum computer to be able to cheat on video games. I don't think they actually should use that quantum computer, because it could like potentially tear apart our entire universe. But you know, that's just a thing, you know, just a thing. So I mean, I really don't think that quantum computing is actually a real thing, because quantum computing would mean that the computer doesn't actually exist, but also it does exist. So there would be two computers, and then just. But I mean, it's just two computers, I guess, more processors, harder, stuff like that. You know, I don't really think that quantum computing can actually exist, because you'd have to have a computer inside of a quantum realm or a quantum entanglement field. If it's quantum entanglement computer, that's the thing. I mean, they may call it quantum computing because it's a part of a quantum entanglement field. But I mean, you know, it's fine. It's good. It's good. It's fine. It's fine. It's good. I think the harder things go, the more people don't realize that that I'm messing with them. You know, like they don't really understand why, or they don't really get it. Like I'm just messing with them. Like I'm just joking. I mean, that's a real risk with quantum computing, but I'm just joking with them, because there would only have to be a certain amount of things that actually would exist, but. Like, I mean, like, they would have to exist in order for that to actually work, you know? So, like, Pokemon, and zombies, and all that other different stuff, and I keep overcorrecting. That's something right there. But oh man, just so much stuff, you know, so many things. I want to try to fix problems, but then I realize that I can't fix the problems. Other people have to, that are more educated, and you know, it's hard being in the South because I'm so dumb, you know. And I fucked my sister, right? Because my sister sold drugs in her stupid, idiotic thing. She's dumb. So, not really. She went to court for all that, and she's good. But, the dudes who tried to make her, those guys can go climb a tree. They definitely can. And also, if they threaten my family again, or try to act like they're taking credit for something that they had nothing to do with, then they can go climb that tree and stay up there for a while. Just like Black Cat did. What's his name? Black Cat? Wakanda doesn't exist, all right? Wakanda doesn't exist. You're basically offending all of Africa by saying that Wakanda exists. Okay, it's a lie. It's a lie to say a story about kings and queens who used to fight each other for no reason. It basically makes Africa look terrible. But if you want to believe in it, it's your choice. Remember that part. Oh my God. It's called being racist, all right? It's called being racist because there are different kinds of people who have dark-toned skin, all right? That's what it is. It's what Wakanda Forever means. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that there was a mountain, it was in the way of a highway, and I had to break it down. So I made it hollow. They made a movie, and that wasn't me, but you know, who are we talking about here, right? Who are we talking about here? Is my name Joe? Is my name Joe? Jeez. Jeez, guys. You did it again. I'll see you later. Bye. You are your own one-person bomb squad. Even though you can't see my face, I am very emotional right now. I need to go take my medication because I drank one time this month because I wanted to commemorate my dad by drinking Andy Gator and wearing Crocs to his funeral. Please believe me when I say it is a joke. It's just a joke about a place that I pretty much hate sometimes because of the amount of animals they kill. But hey, you know, it's fine, right? You don't want to take care of animals or kangaroos or camels. You want to kill them because their meat is just so delicious, I guess. And it gives you like powers or something, or who cares? I don't know. But who knows? Who knows what kind of power you get by eating Wolverine meat? Who knows, right? Who knows what kind of power you get? No, I've always thought that by eating Wolverine meat, I would get my spider sense back because honey badger don't care. It's called a Wolverine in the making because the next generation usually fights bears. All right, it fights bears, not shit. Like Dan said, bears, actual bears. So that's what it does. Remember that the next time you go out in the wilderness and realize that, oh, nature's beautiful. Yeah, it's so beautiful that if you fuck with it, that it'll tell its cousin, and then its cousin will fly over, poop on your head, and you'll think that it's over, and it won't be. But if it poops on your back, you're fine. If it poops on your back, you're totally fine. If it poops on your back, you're totally fine. You're totally fine. All right? Remember that. It's all right. Everything's going to be all right. Okay? I'm just joking. I'm just Joe, Earth King. All right?